Welcome to the St. Thomas More Lynchburg's Homily Podcast. We join Father John Christian as he brings his insight and application to the readings for the fifth Sunday of Easter.
Today, of course, this Sunday, we have this auspicious occasion to celebrate this, the very first Holy Communion of these 12 young children here, these boys and girls who today receive for the very first time the precious body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ. And so for the 12 of you, that great mystical number, just like the apostles, this day marks really the rest of also your continuing life in the church. For on this day, as you've been preparing with Mrs. Pavis and praying and learning and even practicing to learn how to receive Holy Communion, this is the chance when you finally have arrived at it, with that full kind of participation at the Mass, to receive this great spiritual food through which you receive God's grace. And it's a hard thing to understand, right? Because as you come forward, it'll still look like bread and wine. It'll still taste like bread and wine. But through the miracle that occurs at this Mass and at each and every Mass, that simple bread and wine will become the precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of our Lord Jesus Christ. And it's hard to understand. And it's all right if you don't quite get it fully now, because I'll let you in on a secret. Most adults don't get it either. And point of fact, pretty much nobody gets it, because it is miraculous. It is something wonderful. It is something spectacular. It is God here present to you in this most intimate of ways, through the Holy Communion, the Holy Sacrament of the altar. And so it's a day that I hope that you'll remember for the rest of your life. I can remember my own first Holy Communion all of 31 years ago. And so this day should be one that's memorable and hopefully will be marked with some festive occasion as you go on from this place. But also, too, does it merit a mention to the parents and all of us here present who perhaps remember our own first Holy Communion. It's important for us to support these, our youngest little brothers and sisters in the faith, and also to support with our prayers their parents, these Christian mothers and fathers who have led their children to this, the altar of the Lord. For as we all know, and maybe even remember from our own childhood, one of the principal ways we learn is through that mimesis. I mean, how often has someone with a daughter found her getting into mom's makeup, right? And then, the lipstick all over the face, trying to look like mommy. Or when the little boy gets into the bottom of dad's closet and starts clomping around in shoes that are 8 sizes too large, our little people look to us, presumably big people, to see how they are to be, to see how they are to become, to see how they are to act. And so then we set a very real example, each and every one of us. And in setting that example, and hopefully, God willing, that good example, we follow through with our Lord's commandment to love one another. For to love someone is to will and desire their good, what is good for them as themselves. And what could be better for our young people, such as these 12 here today, than to show that good example, to show what reverent prayer looks like, to show what belief looks like, to show it through our actions, to show with our posture and our body language that this is something significant. This is something special. If we sit like a lump on a log looking like we'd rather be anywhere else on earth than here, that's seen. Children see everything. Every single thing. There's a reason why most toys are just miniature plastic versions of adult things, like tool belts and so on and so forth. And so it's important for us, as, again, supposedly grown-up Christians, to show forth that good example, to show the example of what it means to reverently receive Holy Communion, to avail ourselves of the sacraments, to set the example of going to confession, to set the example of praying, to teach the prayers of the church, to teach the rosary, to teach the truth of Jesus, to read the Bible, to make our young people familiar with these things, for that is the single greatest treasure that we can ever pass on. Everything else will wither away and turn to dust at the end of time, but not the faith. It is eminently more valuable than any trust, any heirloom, any antique, any word of advice. The faith is the thing that will persist. And so the greatest outpouring of love that we can do for anyone, that we can do for these children, that we can do for each other, that we can do for all of our own, is to set them on that path to holiness, to foster that right relationship with our Lord Jesus Christ, who is present to us, body, blood, soul, and divinity, and this, the most holy sacrament of the altar.
Thank you for tuning in to the St. Thomas More Lynchburg's Homily Podcast. For the daily reading and to learn more about the community of St. Thomas More, please visit our website at www.stmva.org. If you were blessed by our podcast today, please give it a like, a kind review, and share it with a friend. God bless.